Hey, welcome back. If you're using OnX and CalTopo, keeping them in sync can be a game changer. Today, I'm going to show you how to quickly transfer clusters of hunt information between both apps step by step. So most of us have shared a waypoint or two with a buddy or even between different applications, but when you've got thousands of these markers, sometimes finding the right one can feel impossible. But exporting these clusters of trails, fields, edges of timber cuts, and waypoints lets you create clean mirror image maps. Zoom in here on a CalTopo map that we want to transfer the waypoints to. Once you do that, zoom into like the 50-foot scale. And once you do that, then we're going to switch over to OnX. And I'm using my farm as an example, but we're going to zoom in to like that 50-foot scale. And once we get down to that 50-foot scale, we're going to go over here to My Content. And we're going to click on My Content, and then we're going to click on these three dots that are under the All Content tab. And we're going to click Export. Once we click export, we want to make sure that the filter list as the map moves slider is turned on. And then we want to look down here and find the waypoints that we want to move. So we want to move our axis. We want to move our stand site. They also highlight as you click them in OnX. There's no tracks here because I changed this track to a line so I could change it to a yellow color where it was more visible, but it would normally show up under tracks if you haven't changed anything over in the app that you're using. Then we'll click on this shape. I'm going to deselect that because I don't want my property border to transfer. We're going to click on the swamp. We're going to click on our northeast loop, which is the track that I was mentioning earlier. It turned into a line when I changed the color. And then we're going to click on the northeast loop trail. I think we have everything selected. And you can see that you can't scroll up or down and find any more waypoints other than the ones that are on the screen. Once we do that, we'll click export. I'm going to change this to a KML file. We're going to hit save button. I'm going to save it to the desktop, and it's going to show up as OnX markups. So we click save, and then we go over to our other application, and in CalTopo, we want to import. So if the map objects are over here to the side, just click this little arrow on the side and go into import, and then click on choose files. And then our OnX markups should be on the desktop. You can either double click this or you can click it once and click the open button. And once you do that, it shows you which markers it intends to transfer. We want all of them, but if something shows up on the screen that you don't, you simply just uncheck it. So we click on import, and now we have all of the objects that we transferred from OnX over here into CalTopo. We'll go back and change these to the different markers and the different line types, so that we use the same type of markers that we would normally use. I would go in here and just, change my stand site here. I'll edit this, change the style type to one of my arrows, and then I'll change the orientation. So we're looking at 225 degrees. And that way our waypoint points in the direction that we want the wind to blow. And I'll click on large so it shows up a little bit better. Click OK. We'll change the trail type. So this is our access trail. We're going to make that yellow. We're going to change the style to maybe a bunch of dots, and then click OK. And then we'll change this access. I like my access to look sort of like it does in OnX, so we'll change the style to a circle A for access. We'll name it access. Actually, it already names itself as it comes over from OnX. I'll click on our 31-acre swamp here. We'll edit that color to make it a blue and a 10% polygon fill, and click OK. And then the last thing here would be the trail that runs around my northeast loop. I'll click edit, change the style to a dashed line, and then I'll change the color of that to a black. And that's how we transfer waypoints from OnX over into CalTopo. Over OnX is very similar, but the sequence of steps are a little bit different. If you look here, I've cleared the map off of OnX so that we have a clean slate. First thing we want to do is go over here to our map objects on the left-hand side of the screen and click Export. This is a very important step right here. Format needs to be in KML. So we'll click KML Google Earth, and then we're going to uncheck everything. And that way, if you look in the center of the screen, you only see the items that are on the map. So we want our access, we want our stand site, and then we have to scroll down because this is the marker section. So we have to scroll way down here to see where our shapes are at. So here's our swamp, the Northeast Loop track, and also the Northeast Loop trail. And then just scroll down to the bottom of the page, make sure we've captured everything, and click down here on the right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, export. It's going to ask you where you want to save it. So this is my CalTopo YouTube map. I want to save it to the desktop. Click on save. And then that file will be over on the desktop. So we'll click back over here into OnX. And in OnX, you're going to go into My Content. And in the My Content, click on the import icon, select from computer, or you can drag and drop those files here. I'm going to select it from the computer. Click on the YouTube KML file or double click it. And then you see the file is here and we want to import that. It takes a second for it to load, and then all of the waypoints that we've been discussing are now over here in OnX. And we just have to change the waypoints to the style that we like, whether it's a tree stand or an access point, a track to a dotted line or a bunch of dots. And then the swamp, we'll go over here and we'll change the swamp to, we'll go edit, change it to blue, and save. Somehow it backs out on you, but you can zoom back in on it. I'll change this waypoint here, editing it to a black tree stand. Change the access to a circle A, black. We'll change the trail here to black dotted line. Click save. And then there's one last thing we need to do, and that's our track to the stand. We'll click on it, edit, make it some dots, make it yellow. And now both of the maps show exactly what we had in CalTopo. One thing that's different about OnX is that it doesn't move your cameras over, so you have to go in and create a new trail camera. And so we'll do that here. It defaults to trail camera L, and it's a cellular camera. The brand and model, to my best of knowledge, doesn't matter that much, but we'll change that to green, and we'll click next. Oh, it requires a brand name, so we're going to say it's a Moultrie. It's an Edge. We'll click next. It's in the field. We put it there today. Click save. And now I want to move it to the correct location. So I want to make it point towards the northeast. That's the direction the camera is facing. And then I'll just drag it over to the corner so that it's watching the edge of this swamp running down through here. I made a video on that last week. If you haven't check that out. Um, I show you how I make my tracks and how I track myself from stand to access and vice versa. Now both apps are identical, perfect for e-scouting at home and navigating in the field. You'll avoid terrain dangers, slip into your stand with stealth, and better understand the why behind mature buck movement. I hope this helps polish your workflow between OnX and CalTopo and other apps like Google Earth. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm close to 1,000 subscribers, and your support means a lot. Good luck this season.